What up, everybody? It's your boy, Jay Millie, aka Jay Hurt Millie of the Hill Syndicate. But I'm not coming to you as a gimmick or a character. I'm not even coming to you as a fan. I'm coming to you as simply a man. A man that was raised on respect and gives respect. And this video is going to, not like any others, because originally I was going to do a live, but I said I'm not going to give him all that time. Not going to do it. So I'm going to keep this short, simple, and straight to the point. So as we all know, Hulk Hogan passed away today, Terry Bollea, at 71 from cardiac arrest. And I've been seeing a lot of people post memories of Hulk Hogan. Oh, Hulk Hogan, yeah, he was great and everything. Woo, woo, woo. And then there's another section of the population that is staying 10 toes down and not giving any type of recognition just for the simple fact he passed away. Now, people want to try to separate the man from the character. But you see, the thing about it is the man and the character is one and the same. You can't separate the two. See, there's this thing where certain wrestlers, who they are prior to them getting into the business is who they are. But once they get into the business and they have this gimmick that they come out every single week, every single night, and portray in front of the audience, whether that on TV or at live shows. And then over the course of time, some of them become that gimmick. And this is what we have here. Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea was a rockhead. He wanted to be a rock, you know. Wasn't going to happen. Then wrestling come across. And I no doubt had a great wrestling career. Can't deny that. He set the standard for what wrestling was going to be moving forward. You know, I ain't going to go over it. You guys been hearing it all day. So I'm not going to rehash all this stuff again. This is the thing. Let me tell you about Hulk Hogan. The gimmick. The guy that was backstage bearing very, very good talent, potential superstars, main eventers, excuse me. Because you had a certain thought in your head based off of the vision of Vince. We gotta, you know what I'm saying? You can't talk about Hogan's vision without including Vince McMahon, who, you know what I'm saying, shaped everything for him. Now, people can still say, yeah, the great memories of Hulk Hogan and everything. But what about that person backstage that you guys want to continue to ignore? What about that guy? Look, all you got to do is go back and just watch that old footage on Nitro. Go back and watch some of the old Raw footage. They talked about it on camera. Hogan was a bully. He was an asshole. And see, it'd be one thing if he was that way, but then he made a change. No, he ain't made no change. He stayed that way. From wrestler to executive. Did he do some good things in wrestling back? Yeah. He put some people over. He made sure all his friends had jobs. when there was other wrestlers that could have took that spot and did something with it. No, you, because you're Hulk Hogan's friend, you made sure that these guys were going to stay on TV. They was going to stay in a certain position. And if you wanted to bring them up into a main event position, they was going to be there. Now, this is just the wrestling stuff. This is just the wrestling stuff. As later we find out that Hulk Hogan has a very another side to him, which is not, and when you think about it, is really not that surprising considering where he comes from. So it's not real surprising that he felt that way. All he had to do was apologize, own up to what you did. He did none of that. None of that. Now, I'm not the one to come on here and talk about the dead in such fashion. But that's to people that actually deserve to be talked about in a good light. This is the same man that has not talked to his own daughter did not want to have anything to do with him for the last 2 years of his life because of everything that he has done. Hogan does not take, Hogan never took accountability for anything that he did wrong to anybody. But we're supposed to just overlook all of that, right? We're supposed to look over all of that. He was such a great wrestler. This is what, yeah, he did this. WrestleMania 3 against Andre. He slammed him and all this. He disrespected Andre on the daily. We talked about it in one of the chats earlier. How he would say, oh, Andre the Giant's 500 pounds and I slammed him and everything. Like, what? He disrespected Andre the Giant. After his life. Lying on a dead man. This is what Hulk Hogan did. To put himself over. Yeah. Put himself over. Because that's what he did. Put himself over. At the expense of whoever he could have stepped on. Now, Randy Savage. Why Hulk Hogan never put over Randy Savage? Randy Savage, clearly a big star. Clearly a big star. Great wrestler. Great on the mic. He had all the components of being the guy. But he was never going to be the guy because Hulk Hogan would not allow him to be the guy. No, Hulk Hogan said, no, I'm going to put over the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. But I'm not going to put over the Macho Man at Mania 5. Or any other time that he wrestled Macho Man for a world title. Matter of fact, I don't even think Macho Man has won a world title match against Hulk Hogan that wasn't a disqualification or a countout. And I remember some of this because I used to watch some of their matches when I was a kid. When I used to come to the Cow Palace and the Oakland Coliseum in the Bay Area. They ran that match constantly. Before and after WrestleMania. Then we find out about the video. The recording. Like I said, all he had to do was apologize. That's it. It would have been over and done with. You know, Hold yourself accountable moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Keep that standard. But Hogan didn't care. You think Hulk Hogan cared about Mr. T? No. But then again, Mr. T is one of them that, you know, he'd rather be that than stand on what he should have been standing on during that time. Yeah, Hulk Hogan was a massive star. He was a big star in the 80s. In the mid-80s, big star. But Mr. T was a bigger star. So let me get the rub off of Mr. T so I can put myself over yet again. Oh, I don't want my daughter working with them black guys. I don't want her to, like, what the... And then people walk around acting like this stuff did not happen. All this stuff happened. If you really think that Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan are two different personas, you are clearly missing the point. Because the man and the character is one and the same. It's just in two different spaces. He was an asshole at work. He was an asshole in person. Now, I'm not saying Linda was any spectacular thing herself, but there was clearly a reason why, you know? And then coming up here and trying to change narratives and everything about what happened with his son and the best friend and all this. Like, he's doing all this, but so what? Let's worry about Hulk Hogan, the character. The red and yellow. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, train, brother. See, the problem that we have is people are more concerned about the entertainment than the entertainer. As long as they're entertaining us and they're doing a great job at that, we will continually overlook what that individual has done. Where's the morale in this? Because Hulk Hogan did all that stuff, we're supposed to overlook all the bad. This is what I don't like about when people be passing away. Now we're supposed to just talk all good and gracious. Like, no. You wanna honor somebody? You tell the truth about who they was. And just because they're not here, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna just, put daisies and roses and there was this and this. No. I'm not the one that's gonna do that. Because I'll tell you what, I tell y'all right now, when it's my time, yeah, I want motherfuckers to say, yeah, Jason was an asshole, but Jason was also a good dude. Be honest about the person. Because lying about them and changing the narrative just to make yourself feel better doesn't do any justice or any good for anybody. And not only that, but you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself if you think that this dude that did all these great things in professional wrestling, that he wasn't an asshole on top of that, that he didn't do wrong things to people, never apologize and all this. Yeah, he might have, squashed some things with a couple of folks or whatever. But did he really mean it? Was he genuine about it? Or was it to put himself over every chance he got? I'm not blinded by the lights and the glamour and the big stage and the big, Hulk Hogan, yes, he did this and did that, NWO and all this and all that. Woo, woo, woo. Well, first of all, the NWO, let me touch on that real quick. I know a lot of people like to bring up, Hulk Hogan in the NWO. You realize Hulk Hogan wasn't even going to be the third man in the NWO? Hogan wasn't even slated or booked to be the third member of the NWO. It was supposed to be Sting. You know why it wasn't Sting? Yeah. Not also, well, it still worked out because Sting. But you don't know. You don't know. Because they could have did the invasion angle of somebody, because this is what they did anyways, right? The outsiders come in from a different company. Hulk Hogan came from that same company. Boom. You know what I'm saying? You got that mix. But it all came to everything was working from the inside and not the outside. So they still went with the angle. And you could have got a nice... Sting portrayed as a heel could have worked at that time. You know, but we'll never know. Funny thing is, Sting ended up becoming a part of the NWO anyways. Just a few years later. So we have to be clear about how we look at these celebrities. Because at the end of the day, there are still people just like you and I. But because they have this big stage, this big grandioso lifestyle, we're supposed to ignore the bullshit. Yeah, Hulk Hogan was massive. But that same massive thing that has everybody so enthralled in this man's life is as big of an ego as this man has had. And we all have egos. But how you go about it, how you manage it, is your ego helping or is it hurting? And trust me, it's hurt a lot of people. And I'm not just saying this from stuff that I've seen on the internet. I'm not saying stuff that I've seen on TV. No, I'm telling you guys from personal experience that I've heard from people that have actually worked with Hogan or been around Hogan and seen certain actions that this man displayed. So celebrate his career if that's what you want to do. But I'm not celebrating his career because I'm not separating the man from the character because they are one in the same. So, like I said, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm not giving this man no more time. I know other discussions are going to go on as days go on or whatever, and I might get involved in them or whatnot. But remember, Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan is one and the same. There ain't no difference. And if you want to be a great American, then you don't do what Hulk Hogan did. Because real Americans take accountability. Real Americans stand on their own and stand for what they believe in. Real Americans don't run and hide. So with that said, y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.